Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Danny, and today we have a special guest. We have Tony Arterburn back on the podcast. Last time he was here, you guys loved it, so we decided to do it again. This time, he's going to talk about Bitcoin, which I thought made so much sense because we've been talking about the Rothschilds and about the Federal Reserve and the currency that we currently have, whereas Bitcoin's an alternative. So I wanted to have Tony on to talk about first why is Wolf Bitcoin, but also what is Bitcoin, why do we need it, why is it different than what we currently have, and all the questions that we might have about Bitcoin. So welcome, Tony.
Well, it's great to be back, Danny. Good to see you. I hope that I'm a special guest. We had a great talk last time. It's one of my favorite episodes. I think we were just sitting over in your office in Branson and your family's place, and yeah, it was great. It was a nice, relaxed environment, and we had a good talk. And we do that in person. That's funny because we should record our conversations in person. I think it'd be good episodes as well.
They would be. We just go on tangents about everything that's happening in the world, and it's always something. It's always something. So
Yeah, I did two shows already today. I was a guest on the David Knight show, and then I had my radio show. And so I started off my show with a question. This kind of pertains to what we're talking about. It's in the headlines, at least right now. I mean, we're recording the show, but the headlines are, can President Trump, can he fire Jerome Powell? Or is he going to? And I'm like, well, can he? And then we start looking
yeah,
at the Federal Reserve, and it's not federal and it's not a reserve, and they don't have oversight, and they're not audited, and they're a private banking consortium. And again, it ties back to what we do, what we talk about. The origin story of conspiracy, it starts with the money. They say follow the money, but the origin of, whether you're talking about the deep state or bankers' wars or assassinations, basically evil in general. It starts with the origin stories, who controls the money supply. I don't have a problem with money. As a matter of fact, I think you can use it for a lot of good things, and there's nothing wrong with wealth at all if you have good energy and you're trying to build something, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs are creators, and they just want to build something. And that's, if you have a faith like I do, you think about, if you're created in God's image, then you're a creator as well. So I have just off the, just to be clear, I don't have a problem with wealth, but I do have a problem with people that concentrate it and use it for nefarious reasons. And I think,
right.
you probably agree with me on that. And, we got to talking, and my primary, you are an affiliate of ours. We proudly sponsor your podcast. It's a great show, and we're proud of that. And we do gold and silver, but I wanted to talk to you about some of the other projects that we have, and I have a backstory with Bitcoin that I don't get into very often. So I thought that would be fun to get into.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm really excited because I don't know that much about Bitcoin. That's something my husband does. He reads into that. He reads into AI a lot, and I just get the highlights from him. And I have never really, I don't know, been interested, I guess, in Bitcoin. So I think that this will be a really good conversation for me to be educated.
Well, I know enough to be dangerous, and it's a great subject. It's a great subject. I'll go back to my beginning in Bitcoin is in 2016, and this is prior to the election. I was just rebuilding my career and my entrepreneurial life, my path, and I was in between things. And I'd ran for Congress. I'd done some. I'm a true believer too. It's funny because if you look at my life, it's like I go. I was a competitive weightlifter and powerlifter, and I was on the U.S. team. I was a bit of an extremist in some stuff, and I did the same thing with my run for Congress, and basically just bankrupted yourself, and then you're on the losing team. And I got to see a lot up close, like how politics works. I became really good friends with the congressman who was on his way out. He was the last World War II vet in Congress, and I got to learn a lot. He had so many stories, and that was great. That was very positive. But I was on the out, so I was looking for the next thing. It was like I don't have a career here. I've had some things that worked, some things that didn't. But one day I saw some people just putting cash into a Bitcoin ATM, and I go, it was one at my family's convenience stores, and I go, well, whose machine is that? So I want to find out what this is. I knew what Bitcoin was, and by the way,
Hmm.
I read it. My first article that I read on Bitcoin was I read in 2014 in Reason magazine, and it's a libertarian, slant and free markets and stuff. And I was like, well, that's pretty fascinating. And I just kind of chalked it up to that's innovation and digital technology and stuff. Well, the more I understood it, then I saw how these machines would work. So I took everything I had, which wasn't much, and I bought a Bitcoin ATM. It's the only thing I had. And that didn't go well, not because of Bitcoin, but just the machine itself. It was a kind of insult to injury. But I kept fighting. I fought on, and one thing led to another. And so my origin for 2016 Bitcoin, it leads to me actually going into business for my precious metals and for Wise Wolf. And it gave me a jump start because eventually I did do okay with the machines, and I had we were some of the first Bitcoin ATMs in Dallas. As a matter of fact, I think we're at this time. I think Wise Wolf Bitcoin is probably the oldest surviving Bitcoin broker in North Texas, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure that we are, because a lot of those other ones have gone by the wayside, either just over leveraged or something happened. There's a lot of it's a tough business to get into. It's very volatile, especially if you hold a lot, and I learned a lot about it. And the more that I dug into the history and not just the technical part of it, it's fascinating. It's a fascinating rabbit hole, really. I mean,
Yeah.
no pun intended, even just being on this show. Like, first of all, it's a mystery. Let's just start there. Okay.
Right.
So nobody knows who created it, really. Nobody.
I mean, we have the
this is like
guy's name, right? But we don't know if he actually created it.
I don't think it's a real person. I don't think Satoshi Nakamoto is. I don't think that. Obviously, I don't think that's his or her or a group of people. I don't think that's their name. But it definitely is somebody with a background in high level cryptography. This has like origins and things they call the cypherpunks. That goes back to the 80s. Max Kaiser is another one of those guys who he bought Bitcoin early. And he had a show on RT and other things. He's kind of they call him like the high priest of Bitcoin now. He's down in El Salvador, because he bought like Bitcoin at $1 or cents on the dollar. It was crazy. He owns a ton, so he'll never tell you how much he owns, but it's a pretty good chunk. And but he was early, like he was one of those people that patented like a digital coin before that, like it's on record in the patent office.
Okay.
So they had this libertarian digital cryptography culture that was in different iterations of what Bitcoin could be prior to Bitcoin, but it was in the aftermath of the 2008 meltdown, the Big Short, where the housing bubble collapses, and we got to bail out these too big to fail and too big to jail entities. And that was the first time that we just saw like true quantitative easing. Like, just, I mean, we'd been printing for a while, and it was, but just the in your face level, like, let's just do a trillion here and a trillion over there. Like, that had not been done before. I mean, you got to remember, like, in the year 2000, the debt of the U.S. was $5 trillion. Okay, so it took us from 1776 to the year 2000 to get to $5 trillion. You fast forward to 2010, 10 years later, and it's over 10 trillion. So it doubles in a decade.
Quickly,
and something
yeah.
it took us, over 200 plus years to get to. So there was this accelerating liquidity injection, and obviously those who were affected the most were average, regular people that did the right thing. Like, hey, I'm going to get this mortgage. I'm going to hold on to this. This is my savings. And different things, trillions wiped out. And then nobody was punished. So, like, on the heels of that, and it actually came out on Halloween of that year, this white paper, I have it hanging. I have a copy of the white paper hanging up in my office where I'm at in Branson right now, for Bitcoin just appears. Like, it's on these chat forums and these other cryptographers and people that are in the know. By the way, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I just know the history because I'm fascinated with it.
Right. So
this paper comes out, and it shows you the structure and what it would look like. And to start with, Bitcoin is finite. It's like you can only ever have 21 million Bitcoin. Okay.
So you can't just keep printing more like we do with the dollar.
No, you can't make more of them. Right. The dollar is like how many dollars are there? The answer is more. Like, there's just going to be
so
more.
much.
The money supply is infinite, and that's all currencies on earth that are run by governments. Those are infinite fiat currency. Fiat means by decree, and so this isn't like if you like read Greek literature, they have hubris, like the idea of extreme arrogance. It summons like your destroyer, like in Ghostbusters, like pick your destroyer. It summons nemesis.
Okay.
And to me, there's something to that. Like this is the exact opposite of what Bitcoin is, the exact opposite of what the modern digital, because this is, by the way, your currency, whether you think you don't have a digital currency, you do. You have, dollars, yen, Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, they're digital. They're digits on a screen, because people say, well, the dollar is not digital. Yes, it is. You can't print enough. There is not enough paper on planet Earth to create the money supply for the dollar,
Yeah.
and I think I've mentioned this before. Like if you take a trillion $1 bills and you could print that, what you can't. There's not enough paper. Let's just say you could print a trillion $1 bills. You could stretch them to the sun. They would go 93 million miles.
Wow.
So, that's just not, it's a number that's, we just throw that number around. We throw trillion out so often, but it's just, it's such a huge concept. So Bitcoin comes on the scene, and of course that's the white paper that comes out on Halloween on 2008. But by January 3rd, 2009, it goes live.
Okay.
And again, nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. It's just this entity or person or group that puts this in motion. And, I think sometime in 2009, he just basically goes away. So puts this out into the universe. You even look at like today, I think it's over 1 million Bitcoin that would be owned by Satoshi. Those keys and that wallet just sit there and they never move. Now, I'm not saying they never will, but they
Right.
don't. So all this time, and I think he's like the fifth, would be like like the fifth richest man in the world or something like that, with the amount of Bitcoin that he or she owns. And
They just don't use it. They
why
just leave
that's
it there.
important. And then I think you want to ask me a question. Did you have
No, they're just like leaving their Bitcoin in that wallet. So they would be the richest person, except it's just sitting there. So they're not using it.
Right, and it's suspected that whoever that was is no longer alive. Like that was like a parting thing. You'll get, and there's theories like, oh, this was created by the NSA or this created by the CIA, and this is a way to get you used to central bank digital currency, which I have a real problem with this theory, because if that's the case, then it's an absolute failure, because the Bitcoin culture, like millions of people that would have never like looked at fiat currency or central banking skeptically, maybe it would take them their whole life or maybe never, are now like completely into, sovereignty and holding and anti-fiat currency, anti-central banking, anti-centralization in general. Like these are libertarian concepts that have infiltrated into millions of people's minds. Like it's colonized the minds of millions and millions of people, which is good. This is freedom-minded
Absolutely.
stuff. So I will throw that out there, and I think, again, the origin story is important, because you couldn't have it any other way. See, every other cryptocurrency on Earth has a board of directors. It has venture capital behind it. You can trace it back to a person. You can trace it back to a server. Bitcoin doesn't do that. Bitcoin, like, you couldn't recreate it either. It's like a one-time thing. It had to be just the way it is. And I'm interested, in it because of the functionality of being outside of the system, being finite, being a store of value. And I could be wrong, by the way. I'm not out here, like, I'm not trying to sell people on it. I'm a facilitator of Bitcoin, and I take Bitcoin for payment for gold and silver, but I'm in no way like I wouldn't tell somebody go ahead and put your life savings and borrow money to put. I think that's way over the top. But I find it it's one of the most interesting stories of our time to see something that was. It started out at zero, 15 years ago,
and then now
it has a $2 trillion market cap. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like the price of Bitcoin the other day broke another all time high. It's over 118,000.
I'm looking it up right now. What is the value of Bitcoin today? Yeah, 119.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's breaking all time high. Now I'm not telling you it's going to go up forever, all up and to the right because nothing. Well, I think you'll have pullbacks, but on a long enough timeline, because it solves a problem of not being of scarcity, and then of course you have the other aspect of that, which is blockchain, like the blockchain technology that goes with it because of the cryptography. Every transaction going back to the first one is on the public ledger for Bitcoin, and always will be.
So you
Like,
always know how it's being spent.
yes, you know what wallets move what to where. Now
Okay.
you don't
Does
necessarily know who owns the wallets.
I was gonna say, does that prevent fraud?
So its greatest strength is its greatest weakness. Let's say you go out and you create a Bitcoin wallet, just use one of the reputable apps and you create one. I use Exodus. I don't have any financial ties to them, but I use Exodus. If you know your 12 phrases, like and they're in order and you write them down, no one is going to get into that wallet. Like if they don't have the keys, they can't get in.
Right.
And if you don't have the keys, you can't get in. That's why. So something interesting about Bitcoin too is that I say there's 21 million, but there's actually a lot less because you add in Satoshi's wallet, then you add in the millions of Bitcoin that were just lost. People early on, they adopted them, put them on a hard drive, didn't remember the keys, gotten put into a landfill, and you'll never retrieve those. Those will never be.
They'll
I mean,
always be
I have
gone.
Bitcoin that I bought that would go on devices that I wouldn't clear them all the way off, so they're gone forever.
Yeah.
Those Bitcoins are just lost. They're in the system, and so you're looking at about, for all intents and purposes, it's about 16 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. So not 21.
Right.
And you measure that against the metrics of, like, I was looking at this the other day. There's 22 million millionaires in the U.S., just in the U.S. So if
It's a
every
lot.
millionaire in the U.S. just wanted to own one Bitcoin, it's mathematically impossible.
Right. They could not.
Right. That's how finite it actually is. The cool thing about it, though, is that every Bitcoin is divisible by 100 million. It was originally designed not to necessarily be a store of value, but to be a payment system. And a lot of that code got changed, so it's both. Like, if right now, if you said, Tony, I want to get, pay me for being an advertiser, I could do that. I could use Bitcoin. We could do it over the show, and it'll be instant. And there's no bank and there's no intermediary. It's wallet to wallet, peer to peer. That's between
Interesting.
us. It'd be like me handing you a gold coin or whatever.
Right.
And that's around the world. So, like, the functionality of that, and not to mention the decentralized network. Like, you have a network that's supported by miners all over the world. What Bitcoin mining is it's all these servers hooked up, and they change a lot. I mean, it's always updating them, but they're solving these very complicated mathematical equations to secure the network. It, like, gives it a problem to solve. So these computers are all this computational power to keep these things secure. It's again, this is beyond what I could set up. I just know a little bit of the history. So the more that Bitcoin goes up in value, the harder these equations get, and the more secure the network gets. So, like, the bigger it gets, the more secure it gets. And
Right.
you can't, at this point, it's gotten so big and so decentralized. Like, again, there's no president, there's no company, there's no country. And so that's why I think it's so unique, because people compare, like, oh, there's Bitcoin, and then there's, we got Ethereum, and there's Solana, and there's some great coins out there. Lightning Coin does a great job, or Litecoin does a great job, and the Lightning Network does a great job. But again, these are owned by someone,
Right.
and that's the difference between Bitcoin and everything else. So you find that the origin story is interesting, and again, I could be getting fooled. people tell me that all year falling for it. I had Catherine Austin Fitz mentioned me on a tweet because I was on David Knight's show, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Tony, it's a scam." I don't know. I know that it fooled a great many people if that's the case, and like I'm like, who is it? Who's the scam for? Like,
Right,
'cause
like what's
it's like
happening? Like how is it scamming you?
like if you like, there's a lot of people like Peter Schiff who's in the gold, and he's a gold guy like me, but he thinks Bitcoin's going to zero, and he thinks it's tulip mania, which is a whole other part of Dutch history where they use tulip bulbs to as value as stores of value, and then somebody figure out how to make more tulip bulbs, and I'm like, well, you're missing the point.
Right, you
Nobody knows
can't
how to
make more
make more
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, right? And that's like that's a simple way of refuting that argument. So I don't know. I mean, I'll hang that out there. I mean, as a researcher, as somebody who studies like, you know, conspiracy, and I believe that the conspiracy theory of history is the correct one because that's research and human nature and other things. But I refuse to believe that we don't get a win every once in a while. I refuse to believe that we're and forever. Like I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that
We just keep
sometimes,
losing.
yeah, I mean that's a very jaded, cynical way to look at it. Like, oh, yeah, this can't be real because it's decent and good and it could actually help people. I'm like, well, you know, is everything bad? I just don't buy that. And maybe again, I will leave it up. I just not ego involved. I just know the history. I said, look, if something is able to pull people out of poverty, like today, I read an article on my show that was up on Activist Post. My friend Charlie Robinson's got a great site over there called that he's taken over. It's Activist Post, and good articles. And one of the articles is like younger people aren't able to get homes. That we've been priced out of the housing market.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they're just saving in digital assets like Bitcoin. Like, it was from Bitcoin Magazine, but it was showing you, it you can, because you can buy $5 worth, and then you own a piece of digital real estate. I'm not saying that I may not necessarily agree with the author of the article that it's better than real estate in every way, but that's a finite piece of digital real estate that you've acquired. And as long as you continue to have your keys, and as long as the internet exists, and a lot of people will give me the pitfalls. Well, oh yeah, but the grid goes down. I know. If the grid goes
Yeah,
down, you got a lot more
absolutely.
problems than what your savings account is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a lot more problems. If you're not already preparing for the grid going down, you already have problems.
I mean, there's some drawbacks. That's why I'm in the precious metals business, and I love, like, if you can hold a silver coin in your hand, you've got a gold bar. I love that. Gets you. I'm all in for gold, silver, because they do things that Bitcoin can't do. But if you look at the overall picture, like just the numbers that I'm quoting you, and the scarcity of it, and you have people like Michael Saylor with his company, and I think they have like 600,000 Bitcoin now or some crazy number.
Oh, crazy.
The U.S. government, I think, has 200,000 plus, maybe more. So a lot of there's just institutions that have massive amounts of them, and then BlackRock stepped in. So
They step into everything.
yes, and they step into the housing market too. They buy up massive swaths of residential real estate, and it's a really weird thing.
Especially after disasters.
Yes.
Imagine all those disasters that are happening right now in BlackRock. They're like, oh, convenient. Sorry, that was not on topic, but
No, well, it is, because a lot of these things. Again, Bitcoin, if you look at it from technological standpoint, the ability to get in it for next to nothing, and the ability to keep it private is like, again, your wallet. If it's and I'm putting a lot of faith in the technology itself, but in theory, that's a very interesting change in the algorithm of human existence.
yeah.
I think it's bigger than just like a monetary thing. I think it gives you a chance, if it continues to play out, it gives you a chance to walk away from the system that is robbing you of your energy. I mean, in the monetary system, Danny, you know this. You did stuff on the Rothschilds. It's a economic alchemy. It's a magic trick. It's Babylonian money magic. It's not just
Yeah.
oh, we want to control the money supply for power's sake. It goes deeper than that. I think it's a spiritual matter. I've talked about it before, but
I talked about it too in my
yeah, I
episodes
think
on the
we've discussed it.
Rothschilds and the Vatican, because we talked about the Vatican Bank. We've talked about it. Actually, it's been kind of on my brain a lot lately. Is like how spiritual it actually is versus like, yeah, it's money, but the power behind the money is more than that.
Yeah, it's more than that, and I brought this up before, but there's a story about the document that was found in an IBM copier in 1986 at an estate sale. Somebody bought an IBM copier at an estate sale, and then there was a document that had been run through and copied at least once. And it's a technical manual called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, and it was dated May 1st, 1979. So it had been sitting in there a while.
Yeah.
If you read that document, by the way, somebody found it, then took it, and then published it, and was like, "What is this?" It's a really interesting thing. That's a true story. I don't the the document being 100% genuine. It may be a copy of something else, but it definitely is weird. And the opening chapter is about money as energy and using that system to grind people down so they could control like the energy transfer of fake money and controlling the money supply. It really is truly diabolical because you can't outrun it because like our forefathers and our ancestors for a time, because we had the bimetallic system, like you could take a silver dollar and put it away and bury it in a coffee can and dig it up in 20, 30 years and you still have a dollar. It was worth the exact same.
Right.
Okay. And sometimes maybe if the coin's good, you have even coin value on top of it. But let's just say you just have the metal. Well, you can't do that anymore. So people go into the housing markets. But see, there's something that because of the inflated everything with borrowing, and people don't realize though, but every time you swipe a credit card, every time you get a home loan, you are doing currency creation. It creates new currency. So it's not just like you're borrowing currency that already exists. They've made it to where it's not even fractional reserve banking anymore. It's literally currency creation. So that 200,000, 300,000 used in your home, that's some new money or new currency. It's not money. Money has to have value. Currency, it's something else. So that's new currency. So that creates something else. It creates another aspect to why, it used to be like 4 or 5 times earnings, to get a house. And now it's like 15, whatever it is, some crazy number where, and student loans, like everything's borrowed, like this debt matrix. And that increases, of course, the debt matrix increases the money supply. So you're on this wheel of doom with the monetary system by design to never be able to get out of it. It's so funny. The left-right paradigm is so dumb. Like I've become less forgiving of it because the older I get and the more I understand, I'm like, oh man, that is so stupid. I've watched a couple of videos today just on Instagram that's trying to feed me something, I guess to make me irritated. And you see like a MAGA person, and then it'll send me like a person of the left. And the people on the left make me laugh the most because they think that they can just tax the rich, and like they think that we'll just take
fix
the
it. Yeah.
yeah, well, they'll tax the rich, but I'm like, the rich fund all of your moves.
Everything.
Like they love what you're doing and keep it up and tax. I'm like, you're saying that the rich are in control, but we have this income tax stuff because who? Like they want it. If they didn't want it, they get rid of it. If it was good for them, they get rid of it. The system is built by the people, like the oligarchs built this, like
Yes.
the people
Oh,
that
yeah.
created the income tax in 1913. The Supreme Court in the United States in the 19th century ruled it unconstitutional. Lincoln tried to use it during the Civil War, and it was ruled unconstitutional, and they had to do a constitutional amendment. That's the 16th Amendment, which was never, from my understanding, was never quite fully ratified, by the way. But the richest people in the world, they built their foundations, they did all that stuff, and then they exempted themselves, and then they gave you the income tax. It's just another example of like this system that's built. You get to this part in this bend in the river of time where Bitcoin comes on to the scene, And I just have to say, I think it's like you can't have picked a better time to inject this thing, because now look where, since the meltdown of '08, it's a byproduct of that, supposedly, right? And then we get to COVID 1984, and this, I mean, 80% of all the dollars ever created were created in the last 5 years alone. Like it's some
Which
just
is so
massive
wild.
number. Yeah, it's just it's out of control. Like it took us. So when I was born in the end of '79, and don't laugh, I was born at the end. I was born the day the Russians invaded Afghanistan, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and December 26, 1979. The debt of the U.S. was right at $1 trillion. So it took us all of our history to get there, to do $1 trillion in debt. And now we do that every 90 days.
Which is so wild to me. Like how is like beyond. I just can't even understand.
Well, they see how Elon Musk came in for what, 5 minutes and was like, I'm plugging into these servers and look at all this waste, fraud, and abuse. And then like you fast forward and only like a few months later, he's like, I'm starting my own political party. Like nobody wants to hear how much we're spending. That's not
No.
that's a campaign promise that people like, but like the structure is not interested in any, like they're looting the treasury as far as I'm concerned. Like this is just like a run out the clock situation to see, until they do the great reset thing. So it's an open question on what Bitcoin is. I mean, and I'm willing to, people write me all the time, oh, it's this and that. I just know that the idea of it is a powerful idea. I think millions of people that, again, would otherwise never have thought this way, like younger people. I hear podcasts all the time. These guys, they're not into gold and silver. They're like, oh, that's fine. I mean, maybe they will be. Some of the real like Bitcoin maximalist people, I think, because we offer some stuff like if you wanted to sell your Bitcoin, I don't charge you a fee. If you want to buy metals from me,
Yeah.
I do. That's like something nobody does in the precious metals business, but I try to make them symbiotic. To me, they flow together. It's just outside the fiat system. And you're
I've
saving
had
something.
other gold and silver people on, and it's all. I feel like it's very like either you like gold and silver or you like Bitcoin. Like you're one of the only people. Not, I mean, I haven't talked to every gold and silver person in the world, so
Yeah.
just take this as what it is. But like you're one of the only people that's like it's both things. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, Bitcoin's gonna fail, or oh, like whatever. I'm gonna just focus on Bitcoin. I don't have time for gold and silver. Like not a lot of people put them together, which I think they go together well because it's hard to like again, you can't make more gold. Like
No. I
it's just
mean,
whatever you've mined. As
you'll have the
Bitcoin's
arguments like, what if they mine an asteroid? Like, oh my
right,
God, man.
but like what if, right?
You
Like
haven't been to, I mean, if, you could put that argument up.
but we
You
do
haven't been to the
see
moon since '72. I don't know if we're going to go to an asteroid.
yeah,
That's
well,
supposedly, we haven't been, at least through the lens of Stanley Kubrick, we haven't been.
well, that makes me kind of question like the regulation of Bitcoin because it seems like they try to regulate gold and silver, right? So how if they can they, I guess is the better question, can they regulate Bitcoin? Is
I think they have.
regulation going to happen? How is it happening? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think that there's a regulatory pathway. I think I mean, at some level. I mean, I'd love it if there should be no involvement anywhere. I think you just have free markets. I love that idea. I don't think government should be in the money business. I think that's private sector. I think we can figure that out. History shows us that we can. We do a better job with it. But that's not. That's a utopia. That's not going to happen. The government's going to be in the currency business. They're going to be in the central bank digital currency business, in my opinion. But you have these big players like this is like January of 24. I remember BlackRock's had been approved for the Bitcoin ETF, and this is the other weird part about it. Then you're like, well, I've got these people that I do not like buying up massive amounts of the thing that I do like. So it's like, how do I square this? And my thinking is it might be too positive, but my thinking is at that point, that level where Bitcoin was in January of 2024, I think it was around high 30s, 30,000 some odd. And the Bitcoin ETF came out with BlackRock behind it, and they just started acquiring. It's the most successful exchange traded fund in history at the time, and still is. And it just started blowing up and breaking all these records. And Bitcoin went to like it went to 70,000 or something, and then it fell back down for a while. But this was a kind of an example of the establishment putting its arms around it and seeing what they can do to wrangle it. Because if you listen to Larry Fink's words, head of BlackRock, he says like Bitcoin's going to 700,000. He tells Davos, tells the World Economic Forum, you're gonna watch. It's going to go to 700,000, which is basically the market cap of gold, where gold was right at the time. I thought that was interesting. He's also anti-gold, which I thought was interesting. Another interesting thing.
How can you be anti-gold? That doesn't make any sense to me.
He's against these developing countries. It's because of the way that the fiat system works. So much control. Like if people just stop buying into, look, if you look at the metrics, the gold has outperformed the stock market the last 25 years.
Right.
It's outperformed the Dow. It's outperformed. It's like if you bought.
It's gold.
Yeah, if you just, well, there's a lot of people they dismiss it. They go, it's a gold coin. I don't know. It's like when you go back to the year 2002 when I bought my first gold coins, it's like gold was $300 an ounce. And now it's, $3,500 an ounce. So, it's blown away other traditional things if you just but they don't want you to know that. I think it's like you got to keep the people like in a casino. That's why there's no clocks there. It's like
or windows, yeah.
Just have a drink, just stay and play. And that's the way our stock market's set up. And you can, unlike these stocks where you can just issue more. But that's where these fund managers make all their money, all the commissions and all this stuff and the holdings of these companies. And it's not been a great performance by the market. Now, you can make money in the stock market, but it's like you got to time it and do this and that. I don't really want to do that. I buy, gold, silver, Bitcoin, and then I have my businesses and I work in that terrain. I find that there's only 24 hours in a day anyway. So it's the best I can do.
Unless you have a time machine.
Oh, yeah. Definitely can go back and yell at past Tony. He had the right idea and some stuff, but, that's why I was talking to Charlie Robinson and my friend Charlie. We're both, Bitcoin guys. And I said, I looked at my wallet the other day and what I hold, and I was like, I'm going to ride this to either it does what I think it's going to do or I'm going to zero. I'll never sell. I'm going to ride it to the ground. Like it doesn't matter. I'm all in. And I'll do it either one with a smile on my face because we'll see what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in for the adventure. I'm all in. I'll never sell any of it. And we'll just see where it lands. And I don't have a lot, but I have enough to be dangerous, enough to be proud of. Like I accumulated that. That's good. And I did it kind of in the last, I've been accumulating for a while, but it was small pieces. And, we're just now getting, I got this mainly inventory that I hold for myself, but yeah, I'm going to ride it to zero and, or where I think it's going. Depends, and I'm prepared for that either way. But I think it's a great thought experiment and the potential it has to change people's lives. I think.
Why would it fail?
It might fail because people fail. That's one of
yeah.
the So like Armageddon.
Yeah. At that point, we got bigger issues than Bitcoin, right? Like.
Well, it could fail because we're in a state of worldwide war, and countries start attacking each other that way using sophisticated supercomputers or whatever. That's one way. That's very limited how it actually fails. It would be hard if all the governments on Earth got together and decided to get rid of it. It's possible, but it's very unlikely. Even like if it was, because there would be holdouts and somebody would benefit. So it'd be it would be hard to get every single person on board on planet Earth to get rid of it. I'm not saying
Right.
it's not possible, but the length that you'd have to go through to do that. And a lot of the Bitcoin maximalist people believe that the government will come in and confiscate, just like they did, like not necessarily. Gold was like a voluntary turn your gold in kind of thing.
Right.
You know, if you don't, you'll go to jail. That's the way Roosevelt did it back in '33. But some people in the Bitcoin, I don't share this view necessarily that it'll be such a strategic, like game theory that the government will have to be, that will be so valuable that they will take it from like some of these funds and other things, like they will seize it. I don't know that I agree with that. I think it's more of a question of it will become so apparent that the fiat experiment failed. Like it's a god that failed. Like you go back to 1971 and you look at, you know, what it took to buy a house. Gold was $35 an ounce. You know, you could support a family on an income. And it's not just so much about wages, it was about the purchasing power of the dollar. Like you go back to that and then you fast forward to today, and I keep telling you, like, the numbers are insane. Like they're just gonna print and create until the wheels fall off. And then they're gonna say, oh, well, here's the next trick is like, you know, we're all in this together. So download your digital currency for CBDC, which a lot of people say, well, the Bitcoin's warming you up. It's really playing you because they're going to prep you for central bank digital currency with Bitcoin. And I'm like, if that was the plan, it's it's a failure because these
Like it's such a backwards plan.
yeah, because the younger people that are like getting into Bitcoin are like, I don't want CBDC. I was at the Bitcoin conference last year and this year. I was at the one in Nashville where Trump spoke, and like people there like wanted to hear, like, we don't want a central bank digital currency. Like they're not buying this. They did the same thing to Nigeria, which is pretty funny. Happened about the last year or so, where they the banksters are like, hey, these people in Nigeria are using Bitcoin a lot. It's, you know, because a lot of these countries adopt it regionally because it works as a currency. And they said, well, give them the CBDC, you know, and then it just failed. Like nobody wanted it. Like, I don't want your fiat bucks, you know, but it's unlimited, you know, and you can make them expire and you can control what I buy. I like my decentralized. So,
Well, do you think that, and this is kind of like a have you watched Black Mirror on Netflix?
yes, but it's been a while. I don't know if I've
okay.
seen the latest seasons.
No, it doesn't matter. So like it's very like a Black Mirror scenario. Like instead of it being, and I think that I'm not going to say that because I don't know if that's true. So instead of us having currency, it's almost like social credit, to where like you're a good person, so you get to live in like this neighborhood, or you get to have this certain job, you get to do these certain things because you have so many like thumbs ups or like 5 stars or whatever it is, instead of it being like actual money. Or both, I mean, I guess. But like could you see the world changing away from money altogether? That seems drastic, right? But like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think you got to do these thought experiments.
Absolutely.
And
I constantly do them.
Should be it's worth asking. Like you should I do this wargaming a lot. If you go back to 2020, a lot of stuff happened at that year. I'll never forget. I was one of the first people to break the story that the world patent. Do you know about the patent 060606?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, that's
maybe I do. I don't know. I'm gonna listen to your.
You should dive into that sometime. I was one of the first people to break. This guy did my show every single day, and so I was just digging into news all the time. And I was like, "That can't be. Is that real?" And so I went and looked and verified. Yeah, there's a patent by Microsoft. And it's patent 060606. And it is a cryptocurrency that's biometrically implanted in you, and you get rewarded with the token for approved activities.
I'm looking at this right now. I'm going to put this in the show notes because this is wild. Yeah, using body activity data.
Yes.
Human body activity associated with a task provided to a user may be used in a mining process of a cryptocurrency system. What? This is wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that happened. So much happened in 2020 in that era or error. And then people got sucked into the election stuff. And like, I was like, no, but what, look at this, like there's doing,
No, they were distracting you
it
left
was
and
just
right.
distracting you with,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing going on now. I'm like, well, what else is going on? Like I'm looking at the headlines. I'm like, it's not
Something
what you
crazy
think.
has to be happening because we're talking about Epstein. You know what I'm saying?
I know something else is afoot.
I mean, don't
And
get me
if
wrong.
you,
I'm definitely covering Epstein right now, but like like that is so big right now
and
that
that's a whole
something's
other, that's a
happening.
funny show to have. Cause like, if you actually just step back and you're not mad about like them playing this game of, you got to ask, why did they even bring it up? Like
Right.
they were big on like releasing and like something, they got a call, somebody got a
Somebody somewhere
call.
was like, yeah.
Somebody got a call. Someone like, you're really going to release now, something,
So is
somebody,
Ghislaine Maxwell going to get released out of prison then? Since the list is fake.
right.
So
Supposedly,
there's
the
no reason for
prosecutor's
her
gonna
to
be fired. The
be.
one that prosecuted her is been,
Oh
been
my
thrown
God.
under the bus or something. I don't know. It's such a
That's so
game, and then you
dumb.
look at the headlines, and so yeah, there's that aspect of like crypto where you get these weirdo, dystopian, social credit score, digital open air prison thing. I mean, it's bad, but and then I look at Bitcoin and people say, well, it's a scam." Is it? I have a question mark. Can we not have a win? And to me, it looks good. It looks like it's positive, and I think of the lives that it's changed, the people that it's brought out of like, that's retired a bunch of people. I don't, and it's hurt. I mean, some people put too much in. They got to ride it. Like if you buy Bitcoin and the market goes down, my suggestion is hold it.
Because it
My
could go back
suggestion is
up.
hold it. If you'd have bought Bitcoin at 25,000 in 2017, and then it goes down to, the next year it went into like the $3,000 or $4,000 range and whatever, like if you would have just held that, then you'd
Ride it
be
back
at,
on up.
you'd been, yeah, 2021 came out, we were at like 67,000. It's a volatile asset. It's a volatile, it's just finding its footing too. But can you imagine something that goes from like a chat forum in
That's so
2008?
wild to me. Because I have a friend who's like, he's a cryptocurrency hedge fund guy. Like he works at a hedge fund that's for cryptocurrency. And I was like, you do what? Like, what is your job? That's wild to me. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like cryptocurrency is so crazy, but it makes sense if you think about it. Like, it's such
Well, it's
a
very
debate.
promising. I mean,
I like to piss people off in this
just do
podcast.
the
Let's debate
math.
about it.
Just do the math. So, all cryptos, including Bitcoin, is $3 trillion market cap or so. It's $3 trillion. There's supposedly in the world, you take cash and real estate and bonds and stock markets and everything else, it's like 800 trillion. Okay, so like gold is at 20 trillion, Bitcoin's at 3 or 2, and all cryptos at 3 altogether, and silver's at like 1.8. So it's insane, the amount of upside to understanding what money is and what value is and stores of value. I think finite resources are undervalued in a world of a sea of infinite,
Right.
and stuff that's built on projections. Like a lot of stock market stuff is like that's 100 times earnings or whatever, and like how do you quantify that?
Do you think they try to discredit it because it's finite?
Yes,
Like,
I
it's
think.
because they're like, no, we want you to come back to the central bank. We want you to come back to this. So let's like, I don't know.
The weird
That's
part about crypto that I just don't, I mean, I guess I understand, but I don't like it's a partisan issue now. Like every Democrat a couple of days ago voted against like the stable coin and the Bitcoin act to like they every like down the line. And there was even an anti-CBDC act that was floated through Congress, and every Democrat voted no. Like they want the CBDC. That's weird, Right. And then but there was like 18 Republicans that were also like, but we want it too. You know, I mean, they're useless. But
I think
it's
they've
weird that
got something else talking in
now
their
it's
ear.
on, what's that?
They got something else talking in their ear. You know, like something else is. They've got like ulterior motives for everything.
Oh, yeah. But it's weird to me that it's become a partisan thing. Like, and it's like, why is that partisan? Like, wouldn't you want people to be lifted out of that? That's the thing. That's if
They
people
don't
saw.
though.
No, they don't. Right, but I mean,
No,
I know, and I'm answering my own questions. But it's
I'm
so
sorry.
it's but you know, it's so bizarre to me, like that mindset. Like you just want an underclass, you just want people broke, you just want them paycheck to paycheck. It is absolutely insane to me, and I think Bitcoin and just think if you're just an average person now, and instead of just saving dollars, you just bought silver every month for the last, like a lot of my Wolfpack members. I sleep fine at night knowing like the stuff I've sent people over the last few years on automatic, they're all doing great. Like everybody's doing great. Like they're even when like market pulls back a little bit, like I'm like, we're good. You're good. Like I think if you'd have came in Wolfpack when I started, gold was like $1,800 an ounce.
You're doing all right.
You're doing fine. Everybody's fine. Silver was like, 23. So everybody's doing good. And I had lots of room to grow because gold and silver and Bitcoin have no top and fiat has no bottom because it's zero. It's based off of nothing.
Right.
And I think that's the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man is happening right now. You see these governments are piling up precious metals, they're piling up rare earth minerals, the BRICS nations, are figuring out how to de-dollarize, and that's another thing that's on the horizon. So I'm just interested, we'll see how the Bitcoin story plays out. I could be wrong. And I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. I think there's something very special about it. I think that it's an opportunity, at least to learn. If you're going to deal in digital currency, I recommend Bitcoin. That's an easy thing. And go peer to peer.
Well, since I have you here and you are a sponsor of this podcast, and I normally do the advertisement, but I want you to tell us about Wise Wolf Bitcoin because I talk about Wise Wolf Gold, but I want you to talk about Wise Wolf Bitcoin and what that looks like now.
Well, what I designed is a white glove service. So like if you want to, and we're Bitcoin only. I'm a Bitcoin centric company, and there's nothing wrong with other coins. I'm not disparaging them at all. I'm just saying like the origin story, like the uniqueness of Bitcoin is what we discussed, and that's why I do what I do. I have a unique setup for Wise Wolf Bitcoin, and that is like you can buy and sell with me. If you want to offload precious metals and put it into Bitcoin, you can do that with me. And if you want to take Bitcoin and someday and you want to turn it into silver coins, I can do that. And I don't charge a fee. I'm the only broker in America that doesn't. So like our company is a little different because we're, the sister companies that work together. That's Wise Wolf Gold and Silver and Wolfpack, which is the monthly subscription service. So it's a symbiotic deal. And we take time. Like if you call me and say, Tony, I want to buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. I mean, you can't call Coinbase. You can't call Kraken. You can't text, any of these companies. They're too big. And
Right.
not that there's anything wrong with them, but if you wire me and you want to buy Bitcoin, you're going to talk to the owner. Like I'll make sure that you get your coin. And we're working on all the setups and everything. We have wisewolfbitcoin.com. It's just a way that you can fill out some stuff and send me a message. But you can call or text us. We just have people available. It's either myself or one of my traders, and then you can always talk to me. So that's the difference. I wanted to set up something a little unique, and then the same thing with gold and silver. It's like you can use Bitcoin to buy gold and silver for me at no fee. We're the only broker that does that. And then the subscription service, like Wolfpack's very unique. I think we've done a good job like catering to people that is like not doing the traditional stuff. And I like where we are. I think we've done a good job, and we can do better. But and thanks for plugging us every week. It makes a difference. We have a lot of your listeners that are members, and we have a promo code for you, don't we? Have
Yeah,
like
rabbithole.gold. Rabbithole.gold.
Yeah, we have rabbithole.gold, and we have a promo. Is it like rabbit? What is it? Or
I don't know if we have a promo code. I think we just have
I need
an
to get
affiliate
one.
link. Yeah, give me a promo code.
I need a promo code.
Yeah.
But yeah, those two things flow together. It's like if you want to be outside the fiat system, we'd love your business, and I take every call, every text seriously. I mean, we have plans that go all the way down to $50 a month, and things in any amount. I can handle any amount of transaction for anything precious metals. And if you're in the stock market and you want to get out of paper and get into like on an IRA or 401k, we do that too.
Nice, nice. I'll link all that in the show notes. That way people don't have to remember. They can just go and click, make it easy for everybody, because I don't know. I listen to podcasts and sometimes I'm like, I really wish I knew what that thing was that person was talking about. And then sometimes it's not in the show notes. So I will link everything. That way you don't have to remember. You can just click, make it easy.
I appreciate that. I do this. I'll do a whole show. I do my own shows and I don't plug. I get to the end. I'm like, well, I'll be back next week. And I just forgot to talk
What
about
are your
mine.
shows, Tony? What shows do you do?
Oh, I didn't even plug my shows. I have I have Paratruther podcast, which I'm working on some new episodes tomorrow, and
I've been a guest on that one.
yes, and we're gonna have you back. I have the Paratruther podcast. We have my radio show has been around for a while, and I just do an hour a week on parapolitics, precious metals, geopolitics, stuff like that. It's the Arterburn radio transmission. You can find that on the Paratruther channel, and Arterburn.gold is my website, or you can go to Tony.gold. I fixed that the other day. I actually have Tony.gold. You can go to
Nice.
want to subscribe or send me an email. That's the best way to find my shows.
Perfect. And all that will also be linked in the show notes. I try to make it easy for you guys. I try my best. But anyway, thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate it. We appreciate the sponsorship over here at Rabbit Hole. You know, we love our sponsors. That's why we try to do this thing. And we get together, you and I, like on a friend basis as well. And so it's kind of fun. We have a good time. So anyway, until next week, my friends, stay skeptical, and I will see you all then. Hey friends, The Rabbit Hole is an independent podcast with everything you hear done by me, Danny Mercy. I appreciate all of your support. Please rate and review wherever you're listening. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at rabbit.holepodcast. And thank you, Zakar Balaha, for our awesome intro.